Well, welcome back. My name is Dr. Kelly Tzoumis, and I'm with DePaul University. I am here today with Dr. Mona Pearl from WIlkes University, and we are going to look at intercultural competence through virtual exchange as a tool in achieving the SDGs. Specifically, Dr. Pearl is going to talk to us about virtual exchange for intercultural education, a powerful combination for transforming the food value chain. Dr. Pearl, could you please introduce your title and what you do at WIlkes, and then we'll begin our session.
Would love to. So thank you for having me. I'm Dr. Mona Pearl. I'm the Assistant Professor of Management at the CEDU School of Business, the Department of Finance, Accounting, and Management at the College of Business and Engineering.
Well, thank you for coming today. Well, let's get started. Talk to me about what you used in the value food chain to actually look at the SDGs and virtual exchange. Tell me about what your work is.
So this was an amazing virtual exchange. And actually, the way it started, I met the partner from Switzerland at a virtual exchange conference. And then the partner introduced their partner, and I brought in another partner. So we were 4 universities from 4 different countries looking at the food value chain. And first, before we talk about the details, let's basically understand what food value chain is and what we were actually focused on. So, what is the role of the food value chain, in addition to logistics, in addition to the global logistical chain? So, first of all, the food value chain, it includes the entire life cycle of a food product. So we're talking here the sourcing, the production, the consumptions, the disposal, recycling, okay? And it basically represents the system and the resources that are needed to transition to food product from a supplier to the customer, and looking at the process and the sustainability practices. So this approach considers all sustainability goals by involving the internal and external stakeholders, promoting the full life cycle, and addressing ethical concerns. And not only money. As we know, companies need to be profitable, but they can also add certain non-monetary values like the ecosystem services and customer value. So what did we do? To make it appealing to the students, again, we're talking about 4 countries, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Japan, and the US. Something to appeal to all the students, basically ask them, choose a snack you like. Put them in teams, global virtual teams, and they together in their decision making, they chose a snack. And we all like to eat, we all have to eat. And then basically we started to look at how this product is being made, where it is being made, all of the levels of production, of sourcing, and so on. So the virtual exchange took about 9 to 10 weeks. And of course, we formed the teams, we introduced everything, and then we had a discussion where the students had to introduce sustainability practices from their own country. And that was, they were getting closer. They started to discuss. They were forming a certain connection and developing curiosity. Oh, so this is how you are doing it in your country. Oh, we don't do it in our country, and so on. Then we were looking at media review. Share articles from your country about food value chain, about sustainability. Again, an eye-opener for most students. Because we have different practices, we have different resources, different priorities, and so on. There is no one size fits all. And afterwards, it was a the complex, okay, project. And what we did, we started to look at the certain snacks, where they're being produced, meaning where are all the ingredients coming from, where they are sourced. And this was another eye opener for them because when you buy a snack, you don't really think about it. You're just hungry, or you have a taste for it.
Right, right.
Okay, so when we look at it in general, the sustainable development goals and the food value chain are basically interconnected, mainly with SDG 2, that is aiming to eliminate hunger and achieve food security, improve nutrition, promote sustainable agriculture, and then SDG number 12, that calls for responsible consumption and production. So this is where the emphasis is on the importance of food value chain and reducing waste, the whole idea of recycling, because we pollute the air when we transport products and ingredients and materials from one place to another. So it was a multidisciplinary project where each student contributed from their own knowledge, interest, and kind of got everyone curious about it.
Well, and I think what you said earlier was really important. It wasn't just a dyad of two countries. You had multiple cultures and multiple languages and multiple countries in the exchange of this particular virtual exchange course, right?
Correct, correct. And to build the first base for understanding, so we had a certain process, but first is the information exchange. Then it's the comparison and analysis. This is how these practices are in my country and your country. Let's discuss, compare, and contrast, which actually develops critical thinking. And
Mm,
then they collaborated on the project.
mm, outstanding. So there's quite a bit of I think learning from the class, but also learning by doing. Would you characterize it as that?
Definitely, because some of the students had more experience, for example, in food processing, and some of the students had more experience in marketing. Okay, so together they put together all their expertise, and basically we position them as experts in their teams. And this is part of what we call global virtual teams. That these are teams from different disciplines that work across the world and need to accomplish a certain deliverable. And again, mimicking, simulating what happens in the business world.
It really, I think, prepares learners for getting into a global, not just a global team, but interacting with people around the world and not just being in the echo chamber of a particular country or a particular class. They actually have to do quite a bit of work in their intercultural skills to collaborate into a virtual team with several other countries involved.
Definitely. So it's not only the intercultural aspect that people have to have the empathy and curiosity and know how to communicate and be nice to each other and so on and on. Here they had deadlines. They had a few deliverables. So they had to learn how to apply the soft skills into getting things done. And that's
Mm,
the world of business. And that's the
yes,
world getting things done.
yes. So
And
at the end, of this process, what was their deliverable? What did they do?
their deliverable at the end, well, they had a few of them. Okay. So the deliverable was the full value chain from where they source the ingredients and the materials for the product and the whole journey, the whole process until it gets to our tummy. So it gets to the grocery stores and where we buy it. So, for example, how did the food value chain functions, okay, in terms of the ecosystems, in terms of sustainability, okay? So the whole idea is centered around the idea that there is food insecurity in the world. And this is another concept that they were introduced to, because the countries that participated, there is no food issue. And then
Hmm.
by learning where some of the ingredients and some of the materials are coming from, suddenly it's the understanding, okay, why are we doing it this way? Why are we either exploiting, or is there a way that we can do it better for the environment, better for certain countries and certain groups? So it really opened their minds to new concepts on a global level, new perspectives, as opposed to just knowing what they read and never thinking about each food item that we buy, how it contributes or doesn't to the world sustainability and to the UN SDGs.
That is a great experience, I think, for our students to get that kind of just working together and the enriched kind of learning outcomes that come out of what you just said. That all the different practical experiences that the students are simulating in the virtual exchange class. How did it impact your students? Can you give us some summary of what the students took away or what you observed?
Well, first of all, the students were very excited. And we all know, as professors, as instructors, that you usually have a few students that are not as enthusiastic. Okay, this was a whole different experience because each one contributed from their point of view and how they saw things. And they learned to listen to each other and integrate it. So it impacted them, and we collected reflection journals and other information about it, that it gave them a whole new outlook and a lot of perspective of how things could be done better, that they could actually bring it back to their discipline. If they
Mhm.
are in engineering, if they are in marketing, how can it done better from the point of view, even the point of the levels of malnutrition in the world? Just by understanding how it works and how we source products from countries that maybe don't even have sometimes enough food for their own people.
Mhm. 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 Well, as we close out here, is there any final points of wisdom you want to leave with us about using this virtual exchange approach for global learning and especially in your food value chain?
Virtual exchange in general is a hands-on approach where students can learn and they can acquire so many skills that will prepare them for the career, and not only prepare them, make them competitive when they interview. So engaging in it, and not only in terms of their classes, it's also getting to know people from around the world, maybe making friends. And when we make friends, again, in the US, we call it the whole idea of networking. It's not only in the US, but you build your network and you start building your global network, having a global perspective. And when it comes to food, is looking at the global marketing of the product, that it relies heavily on intercultural competence. And as we know, there are some countries that have a much bigger emphasis on sustainability and what ingredients people should use in certain products and others not. So it has to do impacting so many disciplines, from the marketing to even accounting to engineering to different processes. So, what they learned in addition to intercultural competence and how to deliver, they also learned about human rights issues that I don't think we can totally separate them from business. or maybe we shouldn't. How work around the world.
Well, and that I just want to echo what you're saying. I think through these virtual exchanges and global learning experiences inside of the class, the course that the student has to take, I think is an amazing, what you just outlined, amazing enrichment for learning that isn't, it goes well beyond the learning outcomes that are sitting on your syllabus. I think it's really, really prepares our students, but also gives them additional skills and insights that you can't necessarily get from reading and writing papers or even a study abroad. You really spend several weeks inside a classroom working with others.
Definitely. And it affects how we look at the food that we eat. And if we look also at disciplines, so by gaining intercultural competence skills, it also has a broader impact on international relations and diplomacy, on global governance. We are all talking about CSR, the corporate social responsibility. Okay, so what does it actually mean? It's different in developed countries. And it should be different in other countries that may still be developing or emerging countries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it opens the students to the different approaches and how to take a certain problem solving, using critical thinking, and applying it to different types of economies around the world.
With real life people, real
Obviously.
life human interactions, right? That's wonderful. Well, again, thank you for your time. It was wonderful to hear your experience in this particular niche of the value food chain and how you incorporated global learning experiences through virtual exchange. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.